You are lying on the couch. The TV is still on, but you have stopped watching it. Your eyes have closed. Your breathing has slowed. The day is finally letting go of you. And then, just as you are about to drift, your whole body jerks, hard, as if you have been pushed off a cliff. You snap awake. Your heart is pounding. For a fraction of a second, you were certain you were falling. Your bed never moved. The couch did not tilt. Nothing happened in the world. The whole experience came from inside your skull. That feeling is called a hypnic jerk. About 7 out of 10 adults get them regularly. And the real answer to why they happen is far stranger than you'd expect, because the falling sensation is not a memory. It is a story your brain wrote in less than a second to explain a glitch. The first piece of the puzzle is in your hypothalamus, specifically in 2 clusters of neurons that have been fighting each other every single night of your life. In 2005, neurologist Clifford Saper at Harvard Medical School published a paper in Nature that mapped how your brain decides whether to be awake or asleep. The system, Saper showed, is a flip-flop switch. On one side, the wake-promoting neurons. They live in the brainstem, the locus coeruleus, the RAF nuclei, the tuberoma amyloid nucleus. Whenever they fire, you are alert. As you read this, as you drink coffee, as you stare at a screen, these neurons are running. On the other side, the sleep-promoting neurons. They live in a tiny region called the ventrolateral preoptic nucleus. When they fire, the wake system shuts down. You drift off. The trick is that these 2 systems are mutually inhibitory. When wake fires, it suppresses sleep. When sleep fires, it suppresses wake. The system is bistable. It works like a light switch. There's no in-between setting. You are either on or you are off. But to flip the switch, your brain has to pass through a brief window of instability. For a few seconds, both systems are partially active. Neither has won yet. Inhibition is incomplete. And during that window, the moment of the flip, strange things can happen. Your motor cortex sends signals to your muscles all day long. Most of the time, you're using them. When you fall asleep, the system that suppresses unwanted motor signals comes online. By the time you are deep in sleep, that suppression is so complete that during REM, your body is literally paralyzed. You cannot move at all. But during the flip, the inhibition has not fully turned on. A motor signal can leak through. That signal is the hypnic jerk. But here's what's fascinating. The most common explanation people offer for the falling sensation is the falling out of trees hypothesis. The story goes that when our primate ancestors slept on branches, the brain interpreted muscle relaxation as a sign that the body was actually falling. So it triggered a panic motor response. Grab on, tense up, save yourself. The reflex stuck around even after we moved to the ground. It is a beautiful story. There's almost no evidence for it. Primates that still sleep in trees do not show hypnic jerks at higher rates than ground-sleeping mammals. The falling sensation does not always accompany the jerk. Many hypnic jerks come with no sensory experience at all, and the ones that do involve falling do not show any pattern consistent with retrieving an old memory. Here's what actually seems to be happening. Your brain has a problem. It just generated an unexpected motor signal, a jerk that should not have happened. And your brain hates uncertainty. Within milliseconds, before you are even fully awake, your perceptual system asks, what just happened? What would explain this sudden movement? And it answers itself. You must have been falling. The falling sensation is not a memory of an ancestor in a tree. It is a confabulation. Your brain, in a fraction of a second, generates a complete sensory hallucination to explain a muscle contraction it did not predict. The visual flash, the rush of air, the sense of being pushed off a cliff, all of it is fabricated in real time by your perceptual system trying to justify a glitch. This is what your brain does for a living. It builds the world out of incomplete signals and patches the gaps with story. Most of the time, the patching is so smooth you never notice. The hypnic jerk is one of the rare moments where the story-making engine has to work fast and visibly. You experience the seam. But that is only part of the story, and honestly, what comes next is even stranger. The hypnic jerk is the most common artifact of the wake-sleep transition. It is far from the only one. The same brief window of instability can produce a whole catalog of experiences that range from mildly weird to almost surreal. Mark Mahowald and Carlos Schenk at the Minnesota Regional Sleep Disorder Center spent 4 decades cataloging these. Their work, beginning in the 1980s, established the modern clinical map of what doctors call parasomnias, phenomena that happen at the boundaries of sleep. Some people, on the edge of sleep, hear a sudden loud bang, like a door slamming, or a gunshot, or an explosion right next to their head. The sound is not real. Their bedroom is silent. The phenomenon is called exploding head syndrome. In 2014, Brian Sharpless at Penn State published a study in the Journal of Sleep Research. He surveyed college students and found that around 1 in 5 had experienced it at least once. Most assumed they were having a stroke. Some people see a flash of light when they fall asleep, a geometric pattern, a face that is not there. These are hypnagogic hallucinations, visual or auditory experiences that bleed across cross the boundary between wake and dream. Around a third of adults report them. Some people, at the boundary on the other side, waking up instead of falling asleep, find themselves unable to move. The motor paralysis that should have ended when they woke up has not switched off. They are conscious. Their eyes are open. Their mind is running. Their body is locked. This is sleep paralysis. About 8% of adults have experienced it. Roughly half of them describe a presence in the room, often a malevolent one. The figure has names in almost every culture on Earth. The old hag in English folklore, the kanashibari in Japan, a demon called the Alp in Germany, a jinn in parts of the Middle East, different cultures, different mythologies, the same neurological event behind every one of them. These are all the same brain glitch. Sleep paralysis is the suppression that ended too late. Hypnic jerks are the suppression that did not start in time. Hypnagogic hallucinations are dream content leaking forward into a waking mind. Exploding head syndrome is a brief misfire in the brainstem auditory system. Your brain at the edge of sleep is the most unstable thing in your body. For about 10 minutes every night, it is running 2 competing programs at once, and the seams show. And here's the part nobody talks about. You probably get hypnic jerks more often than your great-grandmother did. The conditions that trigger them are the conditions of modern adult life. Caffeine, especially caffeine consumed within 6 hours of bedtime, sleep deprivation, anxiety, vigorous exercise late in the day, irregular sleep schedules, light from a phone screen at midnight. All of these intensify the conflict between your wake system and your sleep system. They make the flip take longer. They widen the window of instability. They give the motor signal more time to leak through. Decades of sleep medicine research have shown the same pattern. Hypnic jerks are significantly more common in people with elevated stress, fragmented sleep, or recent caffeine intake. The rate roughly doubles in shift workers compared to people on regular schedules. Anxiety disorders raise the frequency further still. This is the cost of having a brain that does the most complete shutdown of any animal we know. You do not just rest, you surrender. Every night, your voluntary muscles go offline. You lose your sense of time, you lose your sense of self, you disappear into something that resembles being dead more than it resembles being alive. The flip from one mode to the other is high stakes. Your brain has spent hundreds of thousands of years optimizing it. It still gets it wrong. Somewhere in the world, every few seconds, the hypnic jerk is the visible signature of that mistake. The brief flicker of motor activity that reminds you, against your will, that something inside your skull is doing something extremely difficult every night and getting it almost right. So tonight, when you are lying on the couch and your eyes have closed and the day is finally letting go of you and your whole body jerks awake, and for a fraction of a second you were certain you were falling, you are not falling. Nothing pushed you, nothing dropped. The sensation was generated in a fraction of a second by a brain that had to explain its own glitch. What you felt was not a memory of trees. It was your wake system losing one final battle. It was your motor cortex testing the wires before the lights went out. It was the brief, visible seam where 2 ancient programs traded control of you. You did not fall. You were just falling asleep.